name is Adrian Matthews, and with my dog Marlowe, I'll be bringing you regular walks from central France where we live. We live in Touraine, a region named after Tours, the main big city, which is an hour from Paris by high-speed train. And this region is equivalent more or less to the département of Indre-et-Loire. France is divided administratively into 96 départements, and this one, Indre-et-Loire, is number 37. They're listed alphabetically, and it's named after the two big rivers here, the Loire, which crosses through Tours and bisects France in a way, because north of the Loire it's rather rainy, and south of the Loire the temperature is rather temperate. And the other river that snakes down through southern Touraine is the Indre River, a very pretty little river of which we'll see more later. Now, today I'm in a really spectacular little village called Chanceau-Près-Loche. It's a tiny village. There are only about 120 inhabitants, and it's basically what you can see here. It's an avenue of plane trees that go from a little restaurant down there to a hunting chalet here and a 12th century chapel and a few houses dotted around between. And then all around is forest land. Forest land, I should say, in which other chateaux can be seen. Over here there's a 19th century chateau. You can't really see it because it's behind the trees, but it's a fabulous 19th century chateau that was built for the Schneider family, a family that worked in steel and iron foundries. And then over in the forest that way there are, for example, the Chateau de Bussière, which is where the poet Alfred de Vigny was baptized. And more recently it was occupied by Chantal Goya, the French singer and children's entertainer, and also by a Miss France. And then there's another one, the Chateau de May, or Mai, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, which had a rather sad tale attached to it in 1960, when the then incumbent Patrick Michelin, the grandson of the founder of the Michelin Tire Company, was living there, and there was what he called a hunting accident in which he shot his wife in the head and she died. When it went to court, they discovered that he said he'd tripped on a tree root and had shot his wife accidentally from the ground, so at an angle. But the autopsy revealed that that she'd been shot horizontally, and that therefore he was lying and that he'd murdered his wife. So lots of little tales attached to this place. Chanceau-Près-Loche is best known for its annual book fair. This has been going on for 25 years. It was started by Gonzague Saint-Brice, a French aristocrat who was born and brought up at Le Clos-Lucé, which is the Chateau Amboise where Leonardo da Vinci stayed at the end of his life. And Gonzague Saint-Brice was a prolific journalist, writer of books, biographies, literary historian. And this little hunting chalet, which is very picturesque behind me, belonged to him. It's one of his residences. It's modelled on a sort of Bavarian hunting lodge, or even a Russian dacha. And it's unusual in that the hunting trophies are all displayed on the outside of the chalet, as you'll see in a second. Here we are. Now, Gonzague Saint-Brice was killed in a car accident 3 years ago. The person driving the car swerved at night to avoid a wild boar in the road in a forest, and they hit a tree and Gonzague died. But the book fair has continued. His team renamed it. Previously it was La Forêt des Livres, the Forest of Books, And now it's called Les Amis de Gonzague Saint-Brice, the Friends of Gonzague Saint-Brice. This year, 2020, it did not take place for reasons that you can guess. The coronavirus. And as I said before, over here, a little 12th century chapel. So an extremely picturesque village, not always nice smelling, because over there on the other side of the woods, somebody had the bright idea of creating an enormous landfill site. So in the summer, the odours of decomposing household waste drift through the village and make a visit a little less enticing and appealing than it could be. Well, I'm going to leave you there, except to say that I'm going to give you a little film showing my last walk around here with Marlowe, and so you'll see what the countryside looks like here. And incidentally, you'll also see how French drivers misbehave, because at the entrance to the village there are traffic strips that are designed to slow down cars, but they built them a little bit too high. They're a bit too bumpy. So all drivers drive round them. In other words, they drive on the left-hand side of the road. And this just before a bend in the road. So contrary to the intention of making this road a safer place, those traffic strips actually make it a more dangerous place. So far there hasn't been an accident, but it's probably just a question of time. Anyway, let me pass you over to my film, a pre-recorded film of my last walk here with Marlowe, in which you'll see some of the places I mentioned in a bit more detail.